Hello, welcome. It's day 3 of the Preschool Small Group mini-series. Thank you for joining me live today. The question of the day today is, will you drop in the comments where you're from, plus an emoji of how your weather is? So in the comments, drop an emoji of where you're from and how the weather is through an emoji. I am just outside the Kansas City area in Missouri, and it has been so hot here. It's like high 90s, and normally in June we're not talking high 90s. So it's been way too hot for me. And our neighborhood pool isn't open, so that's kind of a big bummer. And so I kind of would like to dream of going somewhere that maybe isn't so hot. So who's having good weather? That's what I would like to know. Maybe I'll come there. No. Probably no traveling right now, but I would love to dream of a cooler place to be right now. So if you're just joining us, dropping in the comments where you're from, an emoji for how the weather is right now for you. Okay, so today is the Preschool Small Group mini-series day 3, and it's all about what we're going to do in our actual small groups. Oh, Chelsea says Georgia. Oh, hot there too. Yeah, I bet it is. Yep. I hope your pools are open. So let's take a look at the schedule. So the very first day we talked about the benefits of small group, and then yesterday was all about how to create those groups by looking at assessments and using observations to create those groups. And so if you missed either one of those videos, you can go on the Lovely Commotion Facebook page and you can find them in the videos tab. And so now that we've got our groups and we know what skills they need, then you can now start planning activities. Oh, I see Long Island, New York. Ooh, that sounds fun. Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. Oh, yep. Sherry says in Illinois, it's hot and the pools are not open. I know. Sad emoji face for me too. I totally agree. If it's going to be hot, I got to have something to do. So it's been a lot of indoors around here. And it's hard for our kiddos too, because they really want to go outside and play, but we have to make sure that they're keeping safe. Missouri. Yep. Hello, Missouri. In Texas. Whew. Got a sister who lives down there. Super hot. Okay. So since you've got your groups all grouped up, now you're going to focus on those skills. And so when I go into planning, my number one goal for them is to love learning. I just want them to love learning. I want them to love school. That's my general goal, for the whole year. Obviously, I have other goals, but the biggest thing that I want to make sure they just love learning. And so to do this, I know that I have to do it their way, and their way is through play. And so that's what we try to do. I always try to make all of my small group things that we do engaging and fun, and make them really want to come back to the table, because the fact of the matter is no one's gonna want to come join me if it's not engaging and if it's not something inviting for them. They're gonna be like, nope, sorry, I don't want to sit down and do that worksheet. That's not where I am right now. Our 3, 4, and 5-year-olds are just hands-on little learners. So I keep that in mind as I'm going through and creating all of my activities for my small group. Oh, another Kansas City, Missouri. Hey, Sarah. Awesome. Okay, let's get started with the first. Okay, so I put my activities in 3 different buckets. It just kind of helps my brain kind of sort out what we're doing. And I make sure that I kind of have some activities from those 3 buckets throughout their small group time. And the first one is games. And I'm not talking commercial games. We play plenty of commercially made games, and there's some that I just absolutely adore. But for small group time and for really honing in on these skills, I find that some of the commercial games are just too long. They're just takes 20, 30 minutes to play them, and then I'm not getting to other groups as well. So I like to use games that I've created or that are simple, short. It's pretty easy to make some of these games. You can make them, you don't even have to have knowledge of the computer. You can make them by hand. So that's why I like doing quicker games during small group. And I love games because not only are they learning the skill, they're also having that time of social, the social emotional part of it, like the winning, how does that feel? And we don't dive a lot into winning. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but also the taking turns, the encouraging other people, like none of that you get when you just have them come over and do pencil paper. You just don't get that aspect. So that's another reason I just love games. So one of the games we play a lot is just bingo. And bingo is so easy. You could do it with colors. You could do it with shapes. You could do it with letters. You could do it, just possibilities endless. We play bingo a little bit differently. We don't actually play like the if you get 4 in a row type of thing. We actually play blackout. And the reason that we do that, and so everybody may have a different looking board, but all the things are the same. So like in this picture, everyone's going to have all the same colors. They may be in a different spot, but everybody's going to have the same ones. And so that means that when we're playing bingo, they're all going to win at the same time. And I'm well aware that children definitely need to understand that sometimes you don't always win. But what I really like about bingo is that I can talk about how we are all learning and we're all winning and we had fun. And that's really why we play it. We don't play it to win. There is no prize at the end. I don't give them anything if they won bingo. We cheer together and we say, thanks for playing with me. That was fun, because I really want them to have that internal, this is fun. I like to learn feeling rather than what can I get from this experience. So our bingo, super easy, super fun, and they just love it. They just absolutely love it. The next one we like to play is called Cover Up. So you may have seen this game before. It's better played with 2-player. And so I'll split, like if I have a group of 4 or if I have a group of 5, I have to teach them all how to play it, and then I will kind of let them play it on their own. But so you sit across from each other. One person is like the yellow side and one is the blue side. And you roll the dice. And you count the number of dots on the dice, and then you cover up that numeral. So not only are they counting with one-to-one correspondence, they're also recognizing the numerals. And so you could also do this with like uppercase and lowercase letters. You don't even have to put them on a dice. You could just use cards, right? Like use an index card, put a lowercase b on there. They have to find the uppercase b and cover that up. And I like to use letters like, obviously, I'm not going to do the whole alphabet on this board. So I like to look at their assessments and kind of choose the letters based on the ones that are kind of giving them more trouble. So that's a fun way that you could use this. You could use it even just as a simple matching game. They turn over a card that has a shape. Can you find the shape that matches this shape? Or can you name this shape and then cover it up? But this is one of the games where they will have a chance to actually maybe win or lose. And so we go a lot into, that was fun. So-and-so won that time. Next time, maybe so-and-so win. And another thing that I do that really is helpful, that kind of bridges that whole, that games are just fun, is I make sure that we all keep playing until everybody has had a chance to win, if that makes sense. So Cover Up's another fun game that can easily be adapted to many different skills. Another game we play is Roll and Color, and this one could be played individually, or you could play it in groups of 2, so they really kind of have to work together and share the materials. And what you do is you roll, like this one is the color one. So if we got green, we come down and color in 1 green. Now, these boards that I created, I didn't print them. I didn't want to print them in black and white. Or, I'm sorry, I didn't want to print them all in color. So usually what I'll go do is I'll go down and color them, because obviously they're not reading yet. So I'll go down and color the green and the blue and the yellow and the red buckets so that they know. And so every time they roll a green, they do another paintbrush. And so as they're doing this, they are counting how many each one has, and they're also comparing sets. Oh my gosh, blue has 4 and green has 5. Who do you think's gonna win? Who's gonna get to the top first? And I also love these because they're not winning. A color or like a character is winning. And so that's pretty fun too. But this one could be used to you could do shapes. You could basically do anything you wanted. And again, you wouldn't have to use the dice. You could use cards that they flip over. It's really up to you, and it's really just what makes it easier for you to create. But that is a super fun one because I love watching them compare the sets because it's like I didn't know that they knew how to do that. And it's interesting to watch their little brains work. So this one's great for number sense as well. And the last game I wanted to share with you is so versatile. And I'm sure you guys have seen this everywhere. It's just a path game. And I like to play it with multiple children so that we're having to share the board. We're having to share the dice. And we're having to keep track of our own mover. And so it's also very interesting to watch how many of my kiddos cannot do the one-to-one when they're jumping along the path. It's very, very eye-opening. And so this one is one, even though it seems so simple, I love to bring in because I'm amazed year after year that they can count with one-to-one correspondence, maybe some little counting bears. But when it gets to this path game, they struggle. And it's like, well, when do I hop? Do I count when I hop? Do I count? And so I'm really helping them go along with that. And so you can tell who's played games at home and who hasn't. And so that is one I definitely like to play. And this one it doesn't just have to be counting. Like for this, the beginning of the year, we would roll a dice. We would figure out how many are on the dot die, say it's 4, and then move our mover 4 spots. But you could do like, pull out a letter card. Can you name this letter? What's this letter? And then we would name it, and then we would move 1 spot forward or so many spots forward, up to you. But there's lots of different ways to play this where they're just working on recognizing those things, but adding that game element in so it makes it fun, and they see kind of an end to it, right? They see the end. They see where they need to get to. Janine is asking, do you leave the path game until later in the year? No, I don't. I do start the path game, just the counting side of it generally, because I am so amazed at how hard that is for them to do, jumping from space to space. So a lot of times we'll do it, just the counting side of it at the beginning of the year. And then later in the year, you'd be amazed at just like, they totally pick that up. And some of them can play it by themselves in their own little small groups because they've figured it out. But yeah, I actually don't wait until later in the year because I like them to have that exposure, because a lot of the games that we play have that element of moving a mover, and you've got to be able to understand how to use one-to-one correspondence on the game board and the directionality of the game board. So many amazing skills go into games. And so that's my number one. Like, can I make this into some sort of game? Because they adore games. So the next bucket is manipulative. So as we know, children love to touch things, everything, right? And so manipulatives are huge. If I can bring something in for them to touch, for them to hold, for them to manipulate, they're all about it, you know. And so I always try to make sure that I have, you're welcome, Jeannie. I always try to make sure that I have some activities with manipulatives. And this doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to spend a lot of money. They could be, you know, pretty easy things. Like the first one is PlayDoh. We all generally have PlayDoh in our classrooms, and it can be used for so many things. Here it's, you know, we were outlining letters with it, so it makes it hands-on for them to work on letter recognition and letter formation. Obviously, you could do numerals. You could also sort with PlayDoh, right? You can use different colors and sort them by color. You could cut them into different shapes, and you all could sort them. The possibilities with PlayDoh are pretty much endless. And as we know, they're also using those fine motor muscles. So that's just an added bonus to using the PlayDoh as well. But don't underestimate PlayDoh and maybe adding some cards to it. You know, here's some task cards for the PlayDoh, and specifically choosing those task cards based on which child needs which letters, for instance. Like maybe they needed help with their H, and so maybe H is in their name, and that's a very important letter to them. So I'm going to start with that one. You know, be intentional about why you're choosing these skills that you're choosing. So PlayDoh, super easy. We go through quite a bit of PlayDoh. Another one that's fun is Geo Boards. And I've seen people make Geo Boards before, which is really cool. Like they used, what do you call this? Like tacks, pin tack things, and stuck them down in like a box or something, and then they could use the Geo board that way. So that's an option. Obviously, you'd want to make sure that you're right there in case they pull out that pin or glue them in or whatnot. But Geo boards are super fun, and they just absolutely adore them. And I think it's just like the clean slate of it and what can I do with this rubber band. And so we use it here. Obviously, you see it for shapes. You could also use it for numerals. Granted, they don't do the whole curved side as well as I'd like, but it's feasible. And I love seeing them figure out, like, this is still a triangle, even though maybe it doesn't have the 3 equal sides, but it has 3 sides. And so we kind of go into some of that, and that's super fun. And then the back of these Geo boards have circles. So we can work on half circles, different sizes of circles. Just lots can go into Geo boards. And those are super fun too. I was just looking at my notes to make sure. Yeah, shapes for sure. Shapes for sure. Sensory. This is another very fun one. So this one is one I created to work on name recognition. I had some kiddos coming in that could not recognize their name. So this is one of the activities we did, and I had like 3 of their name in there and put it in beans and hit them around, and they had to dig through and try to find their name. Another fun one to do this sensory with is I'll use like the TheraPutty or the, different kinds of slimish putty things, put them in a container, and I'll use those little beads that have letters on them, and they can dig through there and find the letters in their name and start building out their name with the letter beads. That's a fun one too. Basically, any way that you can take it and like shove it into something sensory, like something you put in your sensory tub, even just water, like how fun is that? And so I try to strive to put something in there that is very tactile for them, because some of my kiddos in the past have really, really gravitated to the sensory tub. And so what better way to help them learn a skill than to bring it through the sensory tub. So this is a super fun one too. And the last one, this one I love as well. It's the Feed Me, and you'll probably have seen the Feed Me before. I have also made a Feed Me out of a puppet. I don't have him here. He's packed away in a box, but he was a pretty cheapy puppet, and I just put a hole in his mouth. And so, and I use him a lot at small group, but sometimes, if he's not fed the right thing, he'll spit it back out, and that's just super fun and super exciting and extremely engaging. But the Feed Me is fun because they're feeding like a little animal, little character, and you're basing the criteria on he's only hungry for orange treats today. Can you find all the orange treats to feed him? And so here they are feeding him an orange cookie, or oh, he doesn't like big letters. He only likes small letters, and kind of going through different skills to feed the character. Just another element of fun. And I know I've seen some people use the trash cans, that the lid goes up and down. That's super fun too, like a Mr. Munch kind of thing. Same idea. This one's made out of just like a granola cereal box that I just covered in blue paper, cut a hole in, and then stuck this guy on. I've also used like butter tubs, and cut a hole in the lid and put a little, I think he was a turkey, on the top of the lid. And so it's also great for fine motor, because if you make it small enough, they have to try to get it in there. And you could also use it for counting, right? You roll a dice, there's 5. I want you to put 5 in. Maybe use some pinchers. I mean, the possibilities are endless of what you could layer on top of just this actual skill you're trying to teach. So those were all the manipulatives. And so the last one's just kind of fall in activities. Like, they're just fun things that we can do that children seem to like. And I found that all of these have this end goal. Like, they feel like when they finish them, they've accomplished something, and they really like that. And so I try to make sure that even if I've got a kiddo coming to my group that's not going to stay there long, that maybe the task is very short, so that they can feel that sense of accomplishment, that sense of finishing something. So the first one is puzzles. This one is a numeral puzzle. You could also do it with letters, obviously, a lot more advanced. Name puzzles, that's a super fun one. And so they're basically just putting them in order by numeral to create the puzzle. So it's pretty self-checking too, which is nice. Yes, sometimes you will have kiddos that are going to put it together based on the picture. And so what I like to do is just go over it with them. Look at the numbers down here. Let's count them and point to them. And so then we go over it that way so we can review the numbers in order. And just one more way for them to see the numerals and hear them aloud. And so that's a fun one. I've seen people put pictures of the student on it with their name, with the letters of their name below. Awesome. So fun, so engaging. So puzzles in every sort are fun, right? Even if it were just a 2-piece puzzle, right? I don't know if I have a picture of it. It's kind of like this one. It's kind of like matching, but you could always make them into puzzle pieces where they kind of fit together. But matching is very engaging for a lot of my students. It's just, I think it's that satisfaction of, oh, I found it. You know, it's kind of when we play our games on our phone, some of them seem silly, but it's super fun to us because we get to move to the next level or we got to finish a task. And I really feel like this is what these activities do for our children. I got that. I figured it out. And so simple matching, like here's triangle slice of pizza to a triangle. Obviously you could do colors. You could very easily do uppercase, lowercase. You could easily do matching an amount to a numeral. I mean, just goes on and on. And I like doing this in small group because they do it together. And so sometimes we really have to work on, oh, I see that you see the match to that, but this child has it in their hand. So we're going to walk over to them and we're going to say, excuse me, look, I have the match. And so we're really working on those social skills within that small group as well. Hunting around for something is always fun. I don't know why, but it is super fun. I mean, I guess who doesn't love a treasure hunt, right? So these are little magnifying glasses for colors. And so we go searching around for things of that color, and then we celebrate when we found them. And so this one would be a pink something. And so we go around searching for the pink something because maybe our small group doesn't always sit at the table. Maybe it's always moving. And then we could also do it with numerals, letters in our name, their name. And chances are their name is in a lot of places in your classroom. So that's a fun one too. And then bringing the whole group together to see it, not just that one child. So, oh, come look. This child found a pink object. And then, it just gets the excitement level up and they're very, very engaged. And the last one is sorting. Sorting, I think it again goes back to one of those completion activities. Like, look, I found all 4. So this also is great as a whole group, just like the whole matching idea is we're having to work together to figure these out. And then I'm over here going, oh yeah, look, it's a triangle. And I'm saying it over and over again. And I probably sound like a broken record, but I am well aware that is going to help them learn what the name of it is by hearing it and seeing it and touching it. So sorting. So I'm over here going, triangle. Oh, look, the tree's a triangle. You're right. You did find a triangle. Let's see how many sides he has. And, just the on and on with the talking. So that is the last activity I had to share with you. So I'm going to pop these off of my screen so that I can show you. I had some questions last time about the lesson plans that I use, and I just try to keep everything simple. And so I created this, and I'm going to try to show it to you here. Small group lesson plan, and basically I just list the skill at the top. I put the students' names in there that are going to be in that group, and the dates that we met. So I'll fill those in later, or I could plan for the dates that we're going to meet. And then there's the activities for 3 different activities, materials, instructions, what do I need? So a lot of times I can go ahead and prepare for 3 sessions at least at a time for one small group. Because in general, I'm going to do at least 3 sessions before maybe I start seeing some mastery or some progression of skills. And so that's how I do it, and that's what makes sense in my brain. So I just thought I would share that with you. This is available. I put a link in the post. It's in the, yes, McKenna's asking, can you share this? Of course. It is in the small group planning kit. And so there's a link for that in the post. And then also in that same kit here, I keep this next to me while I'm in my groups. And so I'll write down skill, date, what activity, who's in there. And then here's a place for me to put all my quick observations. So I literally just have this next to me going, you know, I took speed writing in high school, and now it's coming like actually into play here, because I'll speed write what I'm seeing them do. And so, you know, I'll put student names on each one of these boxes, and I'll go through square, triangle. They recognized it. They named it, whatever. And I just really pop it in there. And so next time I can look back and go, okay, yeah, they're, you know, they've recognized all the shapes that we were working on in that small group that day. Maybe it's time to look at moving them out of the group, or maybe they've mastered the skill. So I just keep this next to me, and there's just a stack of them, and that's been super helpful. And then I wanted to show you also, I am one of the type of people that likes to have everything like done ahead of time. Maybe that's not what I want to say, but I like to have things prepped so I don't have as much to do throughout the year. I know that it's not always going to work the way I plan, and I know that planning and things is important, but I also know that I have to shift and accommodate to my students. But I do like to kind of have some groundwork so I don't feel like I am starting from scratch every time I go to plan, and especially plan small groups. And so what I've done is the ones that I have found that I use quite often, like letter identification, I have just created my own set of activities that I put in a notebook. And so all in here in my notebook, I've got like, here's my, I'm knocking things over. Here is my alphabet bingo. It's already in like, what do you call those? Sleeves, pocket protector, page protector sleeves. And then I also have like, so this has been really helpful for my co-teacher. She loved this a lot because it basically was like, hey, this is what we're doing. You can just grab this notebook and you have an activity ready. And all the pieces are here, and it tells her what she needs to grab. Like here's the Play-Doh mats and all kinds of goodies, but I like to have the lesson plans in there too, so I can remember what I'm doing. And then if I have a sub, it's super helpful just to pull it out and be like, this is what you can do during small group time. So I wanted to share more on this organizational system with you. Oh, there's my how to create roads. See these roads right here? We create letters using these road pieces, and then they drive cars on them. That's another one of the activities we do. And I wanted to share more about these. So I think on Monday, I'm going to add to this series. So it'll be like 5 days plus one. And kind of really dive deep into sharing for you, like what I do for each activity each skill set and how I organize it. So I would like to do that for you on Monday. Yes, I see lots of questions about, how to organize your materials, bins, things like that. So I want to do that in a longer video for you, so I can give you just a little bit, more than a little bit, a lot bit more information. So that I will do on Monday. So Thursday, if we go back to our schedule here, day 4 will be about creating that schedule. And I really feel like this was like the key for me to be successful. And I know schedules don't sound all that they don't sound all that fun, but I really do think this is what has led my groups to be successful. And then day 5 is tips for you. And then we'll go into a day 6 on Monday with organizing, and I'll get that all prepped and ready for you guys because I'm more than happy to share. So thank you so much for joining me. And please, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Okay. And again, if you are looking for the small group planning guide, which had these in it, I'll give you a little another little thing here. Had this log and the lesson plan in it. You can find the link in this post. And then I also went ahead and dropped a link to these that are they're in my Teachers Pay Teachers store, but I would like to on Monday just go through and show you what I do. So if this isn't something you necessarily want to buy, you still can create your own. So, alrighty guys, thanks so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.